Hello everyone and welcome back to the ADHD Guide to Gamma. In this episode we're going to be going over the new artifact changes in Gamma 0.9.3. Now the beginning of this video is going to assume that you're a brand new player. Alright, so artifacts are objects that have been changed by the zone mainly inside of anomalies. For example, right here outside of Rookie Village, you might notice this area that has a lot of whirligigs called the Trash Compactor Anomaly. Inside of here, there are artifacts. Now artifacts typically give you a buff and a debuff. For example, this Kolobok that I have in my inventory here, it gives +2 to health restoration, but it gives -7 to stamina, -2 to ballistic. So as you can see, they typically have buffs and debuffs. So first, let's go over how to obtain an artifact. All right, there are two things you're going to need in order to start farming for artifacts. First of all, you need a detector, and second of all, you need bolts. Now, bolts you'll have by default in Gamma, and you will spawn with a tier 1 detector called an Echo Detector. Now, there are other tiers of detectors such as the Bear, the Grizzly, and this Varog Detector. Technically, the tier 3 Grizzly, as you can see, capable of locating all artifacts. The reason you would want a Varog, though, is because it actually shows where the anomalies are on your screen. And as we can see down there, that dot on the screen is the artifact that we're looking for. But let's swap back to the Echo Detector, which you're going to be familiar with. As you can see, it just beeped once, so there's definitely an artifact nearby. And what's going to happen is as we get closer, it's going to start beeping more and more. Now, you might notice in the bottom left, there's that icon. That means that there's an artifact nearby. So it'll tell you even if you have your detector put away, but we're hearing it beep more and more and more. And there it is, right? There's a jellyfish artifact. And there's the artifact, jellyfish. It gives you rupture resistance, ballistic resistance, but lower psychic and lower explosive. In the new Gamma update, artifacts no longer emit radiation. They used to emit radiation. You'd have to put them in containers, but that is no more. It's very similar to the OG game. So for example, I can have these in my inventory just fine. Alright, so let's say you picked up this jellyfish and you decided, psychic resistance and explosive resistance isn't that important to me. I'd rather have that rupture and ballistic. Well, guess what? As long as your outfit has these slots down here unlocked, you can go ahead and equip them. Now, down here, you're going to notice that it shows all your stats. So we can see now that we have 0% psychic resistance because we equipped this. However, our ballistic and rupture went up 2%. If you're wondering why everything is capped at 65%, that is because that is the soft cap. In order to go higher than that, you actually need artifacts to push it higher. Which is why in this brand new Gamma update, artifacts are even more essential than they used to be. Before, you could really just like ignore artifacts, equip 1 or 2, but mostly use pelts. But now you really need artifacts, especially late game. The full empty is a good example of an artifact that increases your cap. As you can see, rupture cap and ballistic go up 10%. It also gives you rupture plus 15 and ballistic plus 20, which is very, very nice. But as you can see, there are also downsides. For example, we lose 8 kilograms of weight. We have lower psychic, radiation, bleeding control, and health restoration. So artifacts are kind of this balance game where you want to have one that does one thing and another one that counters it. But no matter what you do, you will be lacking on something, so there's always a trade-off. Now, I forgot to mention this earlier, but the reason you need bolts is so that you can see where is safe. So, for example, I can see right there. If I were to walk right there, I'd be in trouble. But if I throw, like, right here, that's good. So, as you can see, I'm walking. I'm good. But if I throw right here, oh, that's good too. So, if I keep walking, yep, we're good. You just got to be very careful. Right there, I would have gotten hit. Bolts are especially good for fire anomalies where you can't actually see where they are without throwing a bolt ahead of time. Now, before, that was a very obvious anomaly field. However, artifacts can spawn outside of anomaly fields. For example, this tunnel is a good example of where there typically is, an artifact. So let's just go ahead and run through here real quick and see where it is. Oh, wait, it's not in the tunnel. So I guess it's in this little lightning anomaly out here. Yeah, okay. So let's be very careful. Ooh. Right there, nice. We picked up a stone blood. And that right there would give us bleeding control and chemical resistance. Now, if you've watched Gamma videos in the past, you might think bleeding control. That doesn't sound very important because most people just pop a first aid kit and then they bandage, but no problem. With this update, Grok has made bleeding severe. You really badly need to pop a first aid kit the second you get hit and you have bleeding, and then you need to either use a bandage or preferably a tourniquet. So all of a sudden, bleeding control has become very important. Now, some artifacts you pick up will be called perk artifacts. Basically, rather than giving you a buff or a debuff like this, it'll instead give you a perk. Now, the difference is with perk artifacts, when you use them, the durability will actually go down. So, for example, this Phantom Star, if I equip it, I become completely invisible. No one can see me. No one can shoot at me. I can run through, but as you might be able to notice, I put away my gun. I can't shoot. I can't interact with anything. And if I open my inventory, you'll see that the efficiency of this is dropping. It's at 90%, 87%, 86%. So, yeah, those do go down. Or for example, this fountain right here, as you can see, if I equip it and sell stuff, I'll receive 4% cash back on each purchase, which is really hilarious. But as you can see, these are the perk artifacts. All right, now you might have noticed most of the artifacts I picked up have been around 30%. Now the percentage doesn't actually downgrade. For example, if I were to equip this Kolobok right here, nothing changes. The percentage isn't going down at all. What the percentage means is the efficiency of it. So for example, let's take this Kolobok. As you can see, it only gives +2 health restoration, but if I were to repair it all the way, if we hover over it again, it would give +4, and the radiation resistance went up. It went from 4% to 10%. Now, the way that you repair an artifact is by using an artifact melter. This you can buy from Professor Sakharov in Yantar. For those who don't know, it is this bunker right here on this left side of the map. Depending on your reputation with different factions, you can actually go to their store and also buy an artifact melter, so that's the second way of getting it. You used to also be able to find these in stashes, but I'm not sure if that's the thing anymore. But the way that you use it is, as you can see, there are these charges at the bottom. You're going to right click, click empower, and then there we go. We can, for example, combine these jellyfish together. Let's just go ahead and do that. And now it's at 100%. Now here's our 99% jellyfish, and you might be looking at it thinking, well, this doesn't make much sense to repair, especially because, you know, the ballistic and rupture only went up a little bit. But the reason you want to do that is because you use these artifacts to craft better ones. And when you craft the better one, it uses whatever the efficiency was of that previous artifact. So if this was at 40% and we crafted the empty that it's showing at the crafting uses section right there, it would be a low percentage. Now, in order to see what the crafting uses are, you just right click, go to details, and right down here it'll show you what it uses. So as you can see, we can make an empty here. Now, in order to craft artifacts, once again, you need to come here to Sakharov in Yantar and buy recipe books. They look like this. As you can see, each volume contains multiple artifact recipes. So let's go ahead and read these. Now, in order to craft artifacts, what you're going to want to do is go to Fuse Artifacts. It's going to pull this up, click on Artifacts, and there we go. Here is the crafting menu. Now, this is one of the biggest changes in this new Gamma update. You need mutant parts in order to craft new artifacts. Before, you would slam 2 to 3 artifacts together and get a new artifact. But in my opinion, this is way better because now all you have to do is focus on repairing 1 artifact, or for the later recipes, 2 artifacts. And the other 2, you can just get off mutants, which I find very nice. So for example, in order for us to make this empty, we need a Snork Mask and a Pseudo Dog Fang. So as you can see, you're not going to be able to craft artifacts like immediately as soon as you get in game. You will need to start hunting some mutants, but that's fine because there's a lot of mutant kill quests. All right, since we need mutant parts, I'm going to really quickly go over mutants and things that you need to know for that. Now, one thing about Gamma is that your ammo type really matters. When fighting mutants, either using shotguns or if you have a pistol, as you can see, this uses .45 and there's a Hydra Shock variant of the ammo. That is what you want to use. Hydra Shock deals a lot of damage to mutants, and so does HP ammo, so look out for those two. .45 Hydra Shock is honestly one of the most OP ammo types in this game. You can kill mutants so easily with almost any gun that uses it. All right, so we're going to run all the way up to Garbage and go to this train hangar. Here will be a guy called Butcher. Now, Butcher is really important because you can buy something called a Hunter's Kit, which is a backpack that allows you to get more mutant parts when skinning mutants. And also, he sells one of your early game knife upgrades. So let's go to him. All right, welcome to Garbage. And while we're on our way, we might as well come right over here because there is an anomaly field. So let's look for some more artifacts. All right, right here is the fire anomaly that I was telling you about. As you can see, we can't really see where the fire pillars are until we throw our bolts in. So as you can see, I'm throwing it around, trying to make sure that I'm safe to walk forward here. And it doesn't look like there's an artifact here. Nope, because my detector is not beeping. So let's try. Ooh, I ran right into that one. As you can see, even if you have hundreds of thousands of hours in this game, you still run into anomalies. Now let's see if there's an artifact over here. Typically, if there's not one over there, there's one over here. Huh, there isn't. Interesting. Now, Grok did mention in the patch notes that you don't want to stay in one area for too long. For example, if I keep circling around Garbage, artifacts will spawn less and less, and so it's better to go from area to area. But either way, right there is the train hangar, so let's go inside and talk to Butcher. And here he is, Butcher. Now, the great thing about him, as I said, is he sells this Hunter's Kit, and it's relatively cheap, 4,200. And as you can read under properties, increases number of parts obtained from mutant parts. Now, unfortunately, the weight carried is the exact same as the beginner backpack, so you're not getting any more weight. But the great thing about this is if you buy it, you can just keep it in your inventory. You don't have to equip it. Just keeping it in your inventory will allow you to get those extra mutant parts. Now, as you can see, he sells 2 other knives. This one on the left, just ignore it. We don't need it. It is way worse than the one that we have. But this one on the right here, as you can see, it says cuts thick mutant skin. Yes. So, for example, if you were trying to loot a Chimera, you would need one of these knives that can cut thick mutant skin. You're also going to notice underneath it, it says mutant pelts quality, 45 to 60%. What is that about? Now, as you can see, each knife has a different mutant pelts quality percentage, and obviously the higher one is better. But the reason for this is that you can no longer equip multiple mutant pelts. You can only equip one at a time. But because of this, pelts actually have higher stats now. the chance to get a pelt has also increased. Now, another great thing about Butcher, if we scroll all the way to the bottom, you're going to notice he sells ammo, and he mainly sells mutant killing rounds. So as you can see, he's got buckshot, hydra shot, slugs. We've got the HP ammo down here, HP. So yeah, let's definitely get some of this hydra shock if we can. We can't afford the hydra shock, but I wonder if he wants one of these stone bloods. Sure, I'm just going to sell it straight to him. And you might notice if you watched a previous Gamma video that we used to not be able to sell artifacts directly to a vendor. Normally you would do turn-in quests, or if it was at like a high percentage, you could sell it to the ecologist. But now we could sell artifacts to anyone, which is nice. So for example, if I don't want this color block, I'll just like get rid of it here. There we go. And now we can buy a little bit more ammo. So now let's click J, check our PDA, and ooh, there's an Eliminate Dangerous Mutants quest. Let's go ahead and grab that. All right, maybe I should learn to read, because the Eliminate Dangerous Mutants was all the way down in Cordon. It's fine, it's fine. We'll just like run out here. I'm sure we'll find some mutants nearby. There's always mutants nearby. Now, how much you want to bet when I'm making a guide, there's going to be 0 mutants nearby compared to usual? Like, normally there's a bunch of them, like, right outside of here, but, there's definitely got to be some over here, right? Well, I guess the game decided not to give me mutants today. Okay. Well, since we can't find any mutants, I just spawned these in, but these are the pelts. Now, as you can see, these are at 100%, which you are not going to be able to obtain, but as you can see, when they are high efficiency, they do a lot. Look at that boar pelt, 30% burn resistance, 12 kg. The flesh pelt, 30% stamina recovery. Now, as I said, obviously, when you get this yourself, it's not going to be 100%, but the bonuses are still really nice. But keep in mind, you can only have one on at a time, so if I equip this flesh pelt, I can equip the boar pelt, only one at a time. Which, once again, is why artifacts are so important compared to how they used to be. You can check any of my old playthroughs. I used to just use a bunch of pelts. I almost never used artifacts, but now I have to use artifacts. All right, so anyways, let's go ahead and create our first artifact. We're going to go here and then go straight to this empty. As you can see, we got that pseudo dog fang and stork mask, and then the 100% jellyfish. Craft that into an empty, and now we have an empty that's at 100%. Nice. And obviously, the next step of this is a full empty. Let's see what we need for that. All right, so let's see, full empty right here. We need a pseudo giant hand and a wrench. See, this is where it gets difficult. When it's a tier 3 or tier 4 artifact, it's going to require a lot more things. For example, the compass right here is a tier 4, and it needs a chimera heart, a controller brain, a full empty, and a black spray. And a black spray needs a burr hand, a controller brain, a sponge, and a shell. So as you can see, artifact crafting does go pretty deep. You are going to need to kill a lot of mutants. Which is why, going forward, if you see a mutant kill quest, you need to accept it. Go accept it, go kill the mutants, go loot them, make sure you have your best knife on you. Now, in order to get a better knife, what you're really going to need to do is just spam quests in a certain faction, and then eventually the main store there will sell you a better knife. For example, this M9 bayonet here does 65 to 85% mutant pelts quality. That's pretty good. The OTS4 is one of the best, as you can see, 75 to 98%, or the Kukuri 75% to 98%, not bad. All right, so let's go ahead and run around and grab some artifacts since we haven't found any here yet. Now, as you might expect, the further south you are, the worse artifacts you will find. So in order to get some of the higher tier artifacts, you are definitely going to need to venture into the northern zones. Also, I have no idea what's going on with my game today. I have not come across a single mutant, and that is the weirdest thing in the world. In my Gamma Roulette series, I was just complaining about the game spamming way too many mutants, and now it's spamming none, and apparently I'm also getting no artifacts, because normally there's an artifact here. Now, as soon as you can, I do recommend upgrading your Echo Detector to a Bear Detector, and the reason why is because it actually shows the direction that the artifact is. So, for example, I can see right down here is, oh, right where? Wait, where is it? There it is. Okay, I was going to say I dropped that for an example, and I couldn't find it. In order to craft a new detector, though, you're going to need to find some of these tools. Now, this is basic, advanced, and expert. In order to find any of these tools, you need to spam quests. Every 7 quests, you have a 50% chance of getting a yellow stash, and inside those yellow stashes, you'll be guaranteed at least some kind of tool. You either get basic tools or gunsmithing tools, drug making kit, one of those. Now, every now and then, they will just give you a random yellow stash when doing a quest. Like, I've gotten 2 or 3 yellow stashes in a row before, so it is possible, but typically every 7 quests, you have a 50% chance of getting a yellow stash. But then, once you get the tools, guess what? Let's open it, let's go to devices, and you're going to notice we can't see anything because look down here, we don't know how to craft it. You need a recipe. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to run all the way to a faction base, go to the mechanic, talk to him, and then you can buy a recipe. So let's go run all the way to Rostock. Okay, yeah, something's definitely wrong with my game because there is always mutants here when I come to Rostock. What is going on? Well, at least all the NPCs seem to be fine and dandy. All right, so here we are at the mechanic in Rostock. You're just going to want to go up to him, buy something, and there you go. There's all the recipes. Now, keep in mind, you can buy these from any mechanic. I'm just using Rostock as an example. So right here is Electronics Handbook Volume 1. You're going to want to go ahead and buy that. And then afterwards, read it. And now, if we open up our workbench, you'll be able to see that we can now craft the bear detector. And then after bear, we're going to need the recipe for a grizzly and then a Svarog if you want. But keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier, grizzly already shows all known artifacts. So you don't really need a Svarog unless you're just trying to be careful and know exactly where all the anomalies are. Now, I will just go ahead and mention this since I said that you need to go north in order to get better artifacts. Grok has made it to where now you must do both the Miracle Machine here and the Brain Scorcher over here in Radar in order to go north. Before, you could do Miracle Machine and basically go straight north, go ahead and do some quests up here, get some artifacts up here. No, that's no longer a thing. After you do the Miracle Machine down here, you have to go through Radar and do the Brain Scorcher. You can no longer go through this Red Forest entrance. You have to go through Radar. Now, when doing quests and getting stashes, one thing you should look out for no matter what is some of these suits. These are ecologist suits. As you can see, these give huge resistances to things like burn, electrical, chemical, radiation, all of that. It is so good for doing artifact farming. For example, this ruby right here does 99% burn resistance, so you can run straight through those fire anomalies, not worry about them at all, grab those artifacts, and get out of there. Now, as mentioned earlier, each outfit has a certain number of belt slots that you can put artifacts in. For example, any of these ecologist suits normally have 4 belt slots, but if your outfit doesn't have many belt slots, that's okay. Most of the time, there will be an upgrade. For example, on this hybrid armor suit, it can only hold 3, but if I scroll down here, you'll notice that this second upgrade gives us another attachment, and this one, another one. So technically, this one can have all 5 if I were to upgrade it all the way. Which is why I still believe the hybrid armor suit is like one of the best suits you can get like mid-game, because this suit right here, 5 slots, amazing. Oh, I forgot to mention this earlier. Once again, ADHD has controlled me. I forgot that once this artifact melter reaches a lower percentage, all you have to do is drag this over an artifact you don't want and it'll consume it and in turn give you a higher percentage. So what would late game artifact builds look like? Well, they look basically the same as they used to in Gamma. So for example, the compass, as you can see, the negatives are the weight, radiation, bleeding, stamina, and health recovery, but you get a lot higher impact, ballistic, rupture, and those caps. So let's go ahead and equip that. Now, if you want more ballistic and rupture, once again, you can use a full empty, but as you can see, we are starting to go down in the health restoration. You can see we're starting to die here. So we need something that counters that, which would be this right here, a Heart of the Oasis, which gives us plus 8 health restoration. So if we go ahead and equip that, there we go, that negates it. Now we're actually gaining HP. Another thing this Heart of the Oasis counters is the bleeding control. So for example, on the full empty, it's minus 600. On the compass, it's minus 600, but the Heart of the Oasis gives us plus 1200, which means we are balanced. We are at perfect 0. Now, if you do have both of these equipped at the same time, we're getting minus 20 kgs, which is ridiculous. So you could use a Volad Emerald. As you can see, it does give us burn resistance, but it also gives us 10 kg. So we can go ahead and equip that. One thing to remember, though, is that artifacts are situational. So, for example, I'm just walking through raw stock. I really don't need to have a compass or a full empty on. So we can go ahead and unequip all those. But, you know, it would be nice if I was going around to stashes, having something like a goldfish. That gives me 21 kg. That's nice for running around. Or, for example, a snowflake, which gives us 47% stamina recovery. So now with this new artifact setup that I just equipped, I have 31 kg more, and I also have 47% there and 30% there with stamina recovery. So this would be good for running around, going around, grabbing stashes, moving stuff around, etc., etc. All right, everyone, if you have any questions, make sure to leave them down in the comment section below, and I will make sure to respond as soon as possible. I hope you guys enjoyed this ADHD guide episode, and if there's anything else you'd like me to make a video on, please mention it down below. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.